My name is Alice Gould. I lost my nephew, Neil Dollard, on September 11, 2001. He was 28 years old. He worked for Cantor Fitzgerald on the 104th floor of Tower 1. He was a bond trader. He was the youngest of my sister Helen's 5 children, and she was away in Europe at the time of the tragedy. She had left the Friday before. I was staying at her home, caring for her mentally challenged 41-year-old daughter. And she had another son and a daughter with her on the trip, and one of our nieces. And remaining home was her oldest son and her youngest daughter, her 2 son-in-laws, and Susan, the mentally challenged oldest daughter. So I moved into her home on Friday when she left for Italy. She had just retired from Wagner College in the end of July and was looking forward to this trip. And I spoke with her and Neil on Monday night, the night before the tragedy, and we had a nice conversation and hung up the phone. And Tuesday morning, I awoke, got Susan off to her workshop, and my sister in Jersey called me and said, "Do you have the TV on?" And I said, "No, I don't. What happened?" I was just going to go out. She said, "A plane crashed into the World Trade Center. Neil works there." Well, I totally went into a panic mode, and we had a short conversation, and I hung up. Of course, I put the TV on and watched the horror happen before my eyes, trying to tell myself, what am I going to tell my sister about her son? But I said, I mustn't lose hope. There's always hope. And we just waited. I called her other daughter to come home. We got in touch with each other while the phones were still working. And her son-in-laws came over, and every time a number flashed onto the screen, we would call. They went into the city the next day, checked all the hospitals, checked all the lists of anyone who was taken to the hospitals. Of course, nothing was ever, his name was never on any list. My sister Helen got in touch with me about 7 or 8 hours later from Italy. She was in a total panic while she was there, and Tuesday morning they were shopping, and a woman went up to them and asked if they were Americans, and she said yes. And she said something terrible happened in New York. Go into this little shop, they have a TV on, and you can see what's happening. The World Trade Center was attacked. So after 8 hours, she called me quite frantic. I just told her not to give up hope. She had the other children with her, and she had to be strong, and we were checking everything we could, calling, and the boys were in the city checking everything, and for her not to lose hope, we were trying to get her, trying to get help to get them on a plane to come home as soon as they could, which of course was futile because they had closed the airway and there were no planes flying. So they didn't get back until the following Sunday, and it was quite sad to go to the airport to greet them when they should have been coming home happy. And we had to go there with, of course, no news about Neil. And it was just horrible. It really was. But we had lost our dad 8 months before then, so we had not really recovered from that. He hadn't been laid to rest yet because we were waiting for the mausoleum at Moravian Cemetery to be completely done, so he was still being held in a receiving tomb, and we had to still face the thought of burying him. And we had this right on top of it, and we had a rough year taking care of Dad before he died of pancreatic cancer. And we're still reeling from that day, even though it's a year later. They did find some remains of Neil. She was notified on June 19th. 2 detectives went to the house and said they had found some remains of his. He was found February 1st, right by Tower 1, but the DNA didn't show up until then. So we laid him to rest next to my father, and at least part of him is home. We just live day to day. We keep very close, the whole family, giving each other support and strength. And with our faith, we go to all the memorials. We joined a support group at St. Clair's here in Staten Island almost since the beginning, and they've been very helpful. And we've come a long way, but I don't think there's ever going to be any closure or healing to this sort of horrific happening. So I just wanted to come and speak about this fine young man, taken way too soon. But he was a wonderful young man, a good son, and he had many, many friends. We had a memorial for him October 1st, 2001. It was attended by over 600 people, and it was very, very beautiful and very a wonderful tribute to him. And that's all I have to say. Just here's another picture of him, and I love him very much.